A very warm welcome to the Facebook page of Purnam Ecovision Foundation and YouTube channel Apla Paryavaran. Today is the 57th webinar of our webinar series, which we have started since August 2020. So today's topic is sustainable development with respect to Ayurveda. And before starting the webinar, I would like to introduce you all to Purnam and its projects. So Purnam is a non-profit organization working in environment and waste management since almost 9 years now. And the projects which we run under the organization are fabric upcycling, e-waste and plastic waste management, and green consultancy. Under fabric waste, we collect denims and other fabrics, and we make upcycled products out of it. Under e-waste and plastic waste, we collect e-waste for refurbishment, and the repaired e-waste is then donated to the needy people or schools and organizations. The plastic is recycled. So both of these projects are done at society level as well as commercial level. And we collect these items and make good products and distribute for these reasons. Thirdly, we have green consultancy, under which comes composting, rainwater harvesting, and biogas project. So these projects are also for society, for commercial as well as personalized level. So if you're interested to volunteer in any of these projects or to be a part of this, you can contact us on our Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn pages. Or even if we are available on WhatsApp, we can contact over there. So commencing towards our today's session, we have with us Dr. Santosh Ghatne sir with us for today's webinar, and he'll be guiding us for the topic, as I mentioned, sustainable development with respect to Ayurveda. So he is Bharatiya Kisan Sangha Varta's editor and state committee member. He is Arogya Bharati state secretary in the company Dhamya Pharma, which is Ayurvedic practice, and he's a practitioner for Ayurveda and medicine manufacturer and also expert in organic farming. So he has his expertise in preventive medicines and Pashu Ayurveda. So let us not waste any more time and get on to today's session. So I welcome Santosh Ghatne sir for this session and request him to guide us for the topic. So thank you for associating with Purnam Ecovision Foundation, and to all the viewers, I would like to tell you that you all can also interact with our speaker. So all you have to do is just comment under the video in the comments section, and we will convey all your messages, views, and questions to Ghatne sir. Thank you, everyone. Over to you, Ghatne sir.
Thanks and namaskar to everyone. Few years back, when I was traveling for Bharatiya Kisan Sangha, I went to a village. I openly have gone there. A well-known family for me. All volunteers were waiting for me, and a family gathering was there. And there was a conversation between us, as usual conversation. There were topics regarding current subjects. But in that conversation, I found new subject. All were talking regarding only one subject. All were having one question to me, that was regarding Guduji. That is Sanskrit name. In Marathi, it is called as Gulvel. It is botanical name is Tinospora cordifolia. They were asking me questions about this creeper. As a doctor, I answered all their questions. They were satisfied. I was thinking that what was the purpose of the question about Tinospora cordifolia? I couldn't understand about that. I told everything about Tinospora cordifolia to the farmers. how to cultivate it, how to use it, when to use it, in which quantity it should be used, what should be other medicines which can be made with the help of Tinospora cordifolia, in which conditions it should be given. They were happy with the conversation. Next day, I came to Pune, and while traveling, I was traveling on the road beside a government office. I saw that before some years, before last day also, the whole compound of that government office was full of Tinospora cordifolia. And now the condition was totally different from yesterday. The condition was that there was not a single finger-shaped Tinospora cordifolia on that compound. I thought that, as usual, government officers may have thought that this is very useless creeper and we have to wash it. So they may have make all those things. They have cleared the compound. I was thinking like this. The next day also I was traveling. I went to a Dashakriya Vidhi in the village near about 50 kilometers away from Pune. My friend's father died 10 days before back. I have gone there in that village 10 days back for Dahan Kriya. I remember that 10 days back, the bank of river was full of trees and the trees were full of Tinospora cordifolia. And on the day of the Shakriya Vidhi, within 10 days, again, all trees were clear. There was nothing on the trees like these creepers of Tinospora cordifolia. I thought that these villagers or karyakartas or volunteers may be known about uses of this Tinospora cordifolia, because in that time there was a peak period of swine flu. I remember the question answers the day before yesterday in another village about this creeper, in which I told them that this plant can be used to treat swine flu also. So I asked these volunteers whether you have contacted that village and they have told you about the uses of Tinospora cordifolia. The volunteer of this village told me that I have listened the name of you saying that village's name. I have heard this name for the first time. I don't know about that. Then I asked him, where are these creepers now? Then I have gone to know that one of a well-known Maharaj, Baba, 2 days back have told that this plant is useful in the treatment of swine flu. We have gone through such a psychological condition in 2 years. The same condition maybe happened when the epidemic should be came because of swine flu, and people were with whole fearing all those things. And this Baba told that this plant can be used in swine flu. In Pune, that compound of that government office was only cleared, and bank of the river of 50 kilometers away from Pune was also cleared. Not a single finger-shaped Tinospora cordifolia was available on the trees. This was the condition. Who took these plants? I have a question. And to get the answer of this question, I asked the villager who was a volunteer, where is these now plants now? He told that when that Baba told on television that this is useful, all the villagers came to bank of the river, cut the plant and take it to their homes. They were not suffering from swine flu, but they were fearing of swine flu and were thinking that if we get infection of swine flu, we must have that medicine in our house. So may they make their store of that medicine. When I came to Pune, I went to that government office also and asked the same question about that creeper, about that plant. The same answer was given by the government officer to me, that we heard the lecture of Baba and we cut the plant and stored in our houses. After 7 years also, I cannot find this plant on the compound of that government office. In the last month, I went to that village also and I went to that bank of the river also. I cannot get a single view of Tinospora cordifolia on the trees also. What are we doing with the nature? This is the question of today. Though this plant is useful to us, does the people who take this plant to their houses, they belong to that plant? In our Dharma Shastra, it is said that as a Vaidya, we use this practice also. When we take any medicine, any plant in use, we pray for God, that is Bhagwan Dhanvantari. We pray for that plant and we, with folded hands, say to the plants that, please forgive us, we are using you. And by using you, it is clear that we have to kill you. But we have to save another people's life. That's why we have use of your parts, or we have use of your whole body. And please make your qualities to cure the peoples who are served with you. This is our prayer. This is our ritual. This is our dharma. What happened to these people now who are stealing the plant which they not belong at all? They forget their dharma. Our dharma says not to steal a single piece of land or a single piece of any other substance which does not belong to us. Sustainable development must be progressed or maintained with the help of dharma. If we do not follow our dharma, and religion is not translation of that proper word, we if not follow that our dharma, sustainable development cannot be established. After 7 years, we are going through another pandemic, that is China virus. All are suffering from this, and the same plant can be used in treatment of this virus also. And nowadays, the value, the cost of this plant is nearly about tripled of that cost which was in 7 years back. Why this cost increased? Do we think about that? And if the cost has been increased, who is responsible for that? Nowadays, there are many processions regarding this. That is inflation. All rates are increasing. How to survive, how the common people should survive. Who is responsible for their survival? That people who stole the plants which they do not belong, they are responsible all this for all these things, for all this inflation. Then what is the solution for that? The need of the hour is Guduchi for the treatment of some diseases like Tinospora cordifolia. I used near about 700 medicines in my practice. The common name you may be known. That's why I have put you some example of Tinospora cordifolia in front of you. But there are species here, plants here, which are in inflation. Inflation of these plants is growing day by day. People are becoming ill day by day. They need treatment day by day. So what should be done? The cost is increasing and we have to treat people. We have to get these plants, and if the people get the properties or know the properties of these plants, they totally clear the all plants in that area. So next time the plant is unavailable in that area. That's why many plant species are getting endangered. And trafficking of these plants is controlled by government or banned by government. Not only about the plants, but also about the animals, the trafficking is also banned. You may have heard the name of mandul. That is the one species of a snake, and mafia are using of that snake also for another purposes, medicinal purposes, and that is endangered species. Everyone reads about this mandul. Smuggling of manduli is done because it is very much costly. Like this, to save, to avoid all these things, smuggling or scariness, or if these plants are not available, then the solution for this problem, we have to think about that. What will be solution? Now, up to these days, these plants, which are resources for our medicines, that is Ayurvedic medicines, which came from various forests, unknown forests, and some of the local people take these plants and take it to the Vaidyas, that pharmacies. This is a regular procedure. I have given you two examples of single medicine required day by day. In last year, in single district in Maharashtra, has consumed herbal medicines for decoction that was suggested by Ayush Ministry, decoction to prevent China virus. What quantity of these decoction plant materials were used in a single district? Do you know? Think about that. In a single year, not in the all single year, but in 8 months, single district of Maharashtra used 5 tons of herbal medicines of this decoction, only one decoction. So day by day, all people are becoming aware about Ayurveda. This is a very good news, which makes me happy. But on another side, I think that we are unable to supply all these herbal medicines in proper quantity to all people. And if we cannot supply all these medicine in proper quantity and quality to the needy patients, then the inflation is obvious. So we have to find another way to get these herbal medicines, and which should be the another ways. There about 20 years I am thinking about this question and trying to solve all these questions in front of our society, working also for all these questions. So that's why I, as a Arogya Bharati Chief, Joint Secretary and Bharatiya Kisan Sangha member, I have suggested many farmers to cultivate these plants in their farms. But it is not profitable business today. Total agriculture sector is an endangered business because it is uncertain. You should take trial of this. Ask a happy farmer. Ask any farmer, where did you get your prosperity from this? He will answer you that his prosperity does not come from his agriculture business. Then this prosperity, where is its root? All farmers are searching another businesses because the agriculture business is not economically sustainable nowadays. Suicide cases are increasing, of farmer suicide cases are increasing day by day, and reason behind the most increasing cases of suicide cases of farmers is sustainable agriculture is not possible. Then how should the farmers will cultivate or will be ready to cultivate these medicinal plants? I have taken trials much more. I have some formulas. I gave consultancy. I always give consultancy to farmers about this. Up to this date, I have given consultancy free of cost also. One of my friend farmer from Sambhajinagar called me, and he was frustrated about regular practices in agriculture. So he asked me to give consultancy about medicinal plants farming. So I gave suggestion to him some. I suggested some plants, and I suggested that he should plant all these medicinal plants in his regular practices by intercropping method. Means he is farmer of sugarcane, and he is planting sugarcane. Then he should plant medicinal plants in between the rows of that sugarcane. Next thing, he should plant the medicinal plants on bunds of that farm. Then he asked about market of that medicinal plant. When he went to market, he came to realize that the cost of that medicinal plant was near about 325 rupees per kg. He thought that the cost of sugarcane is near about 3 rupees per kg, and cost of medicinal plant is 325 rupees per kg. Near about 100 times more he can got cost. What he did, he took seeds from me. He plowed his farm. He used tractor. Near about 25,000 rupees per acre was the plowing cost of that area. He plowed near about 10 acres. The seed cost was 3,000 rupees per kg. He sowed that seeds instead of sugarcane. He thought 3 rupees is very less than 325 rupees. Uncertainty happened. He sowed all these things and raised and as usual, the rain was not coming. Why this happened? Is there any control on rain? Not at all. The year was in a drought. The farmers, besides his band, who were cultivating sugarcane, also cut their sugarcane because the water was not in proper quantity, which can provided to the sugarcane also. And what the farmer, my friend, did, he was also could not get proper quantity of water, and because of drought, the whole medicinal plants got burned. Who is responsible for that? That farmer, me consultant, weather. Who is responsible? I have given advice to him that he should cultivate medicinal plants by intercropping method in a sugarcane plant. I have been advised him to cultivate medicinal plants on the bunds of that farm. But he thought that he will get more money by single crop method. And he got lost. Because of his richness or other businesses, he does not go on the way of suicide. Otherwise, if another farmer will follow like this, he would have no any option other than suicide. Today's farming practices are not profitable, and we are advising today's farmers that they should have made should have agriculture investment in medicinal plant agriculture. This is not possible. So I am suggesting that the farming practices about these medicinal plants must be done on this basis. The next problem is that all people who are trying another ways, farmers who are another ways which can be replaced their another first they are preparing what they are cultivating, and they want to replace that with medicinal plants. They go to the subsidy ways. They could go to the website and they read that they think that there is a subsidy on this plant. They did not study anything. One of my friend from Konkan asked me to advise on this thing. He was reading that brochure of Agriculture University. There was much more subsidy on one plant, that is Google. He thought that we should cultivate Google because he was seeing that in market price of Google is near about 4,000 rupees per kg. And he want to cultivate Google in Konkan area. He does not know that local plants must be cultivated locally. Google is a plant which can be cultivated in dry area, that is Rajasthan, not in Konkan area, like this is the rainy area. He cannot get proper yield of Google, but he is traveling, running behind that subsidy. So subsidy is not proper way for sustainable development. Local should be vocal, the statement given by PM. You should think about that. We have limited sources. I again repeat, today agriculture is not profitable, and we have need and daily requirement is increasing of these herbal plants, and we have to establish sustainable farming practices of these medicinal plants. And nowadays we have not certain or fixed agriculture practices which can be followed by any one of farmers. I will give you one example. That is, we sow wheat. Wheat needs number of water should be given for number of times, that is 5 times. The day on which water should be given to wheat is fixed, but the days on which the water should be given to medicinal plants is not fixed. In how many days this medicinal plant can be used is not fixed. So we have some research opportunities in farming practices of all these medicinal plants. I am appealing to you that we have to make research teams, and we have to, if we are not able to do work in this field, then we have to appeal the government to help in these fields. research can be done individually, but the research can be done individually is not possible in everything. So government should initiate in all these things. And one of the initiative of government is biodiversity department. Biodiversity department is using the biodiversity laws, and which laws can help us in sustainable development with reference of Ayurveda or for Ayurveda. The growing opportunities in Ayurveda, but not available proper quantity or proper quality of medicines, herbal medicines, is a threat to Ayurveda. And we have to make solution, we have to find solutions in this field. And the next generation or the running generation is having this liability for this sustainable development. Few years back, some other consultants gave consultancy to farmers for medicinal plants. They sold aloe vera, they sold shatavari, they sold jatamasi. These plants are costly. So farmers used that seeds and sowed that aloe vera, shatavari. After cultivating all these medicinal plants, they found that the consultant who told them that I will buy your whole crop is out of reach. His phone is switched off. Often in every week, I always get one phone from unknown farmers also. I have a ready crop of medicinal plant, what to do? I always ask them that, who told you to cultivate this crop? These farmers are not having any answers about it. Last year, our central government has passed farming laws, 3 farming laws. According to that laws, farmers and buyers can make proper agreement about this cultivating and buying buyback policies. And the buying and selling, what should be the clause of that agreement will be in the favor of farmer. If the clause are distorted by that buyer, then he will be get punished. The tribunes will be there in every district, and the tribunes will decide who is guilty. But before these farming laws, there were no any law regarding agreement between farmers and buyers of their medicinal plants. The middlemen are always in profit. Farmers are always in loss. So the agreement should be in the favor of farmers. If the agreement is in the favor of farmer, then and then only farmers will be ready to cultivate these medicinal plants. And if all these things go slowly, smoothly, then and then only the farmers will cultivate these medicinal plants. And as a patient, all are listening here who are living in urban areas and who are facing much more illness diseases will get Ayurvedic practice, Ayurvedic medicines easily and in affordable prices. So if you want your medicines in affordable prices, you should promote farming practices. You should research on that and farming practices of medicinal plant. This is the only way to sustainable development in context of or in reference with Ayurveda. So I have completed my words, what I want to say. If you have any questions, please ask.
Sure. So firstly, thank you so much for associating with Purnam Ecovision Foundation and all your wise words. Thank you for all the examples so that we could understand the subject better. So the first question is, what are the career opportunities and entrepreneur opportunities in this field?
First thing, you should become a farmer. This is a career opportunity. Last year, when this pandemic came, all knew that the pandemic reason the virus came from Wuhan, that is China virus COVID-19. And the authorities of China said that we have 3,500 viruses like this virus. I don't see this is a natural pandemic. I am sure that this pandemic is a biological war against world by China. And if they have more dangerous viruses, 3,500 more viruses, then we have to face this biological war. And if we have to face this biological war, then we should be prepared with the help of our ancient science. This is our second opportunity in entrepreneurship. That is, first I am saying that farming is first opportunity. Second opportunity is Ayurveda is second opportunity. All other medicinal sciences, near about 3,500, 4,500 pathies are working in whole world. The most popular pathy that what I believe and I follow and proud is Ayurveda. This is the only pathy which promotes preventive health. So Ayurveda, not only Ayurveda. Ayurveda only treats diseases. This is the half correct. Ayurveda prevents diseases. This is the quality of Ayurveda. This is the work of Ayurveda, which other pathies are not following properly. All pathies are concentrating in curing diseases. Ayurveda is working in preventing diseases. In preventing diseases, preventive medicine, this is the opportunity for entrepreneurship. And we have to follow Ayurveda, which includes preventive medicines, and we should take education in this field. Next step is, if there are much more clinics here, and in every road there are many roads, there are many clinics which are curing diseases, but are there any clinics which are preventive, which are working on preventive medicine? Is there? You have read there, this is preventive medicine clinic. So this is the next opportunity to us to open preventive medicines clinics in next days. Thanks.
Okay. There are many countries like America and Canada where Ayurveda is banned. So can you list the reasons and problems what these countries are facing for not allowing Ayurveda over there?
Eating food is Ayurveda. Food habits is Ayurveda. All world is accepting that food habits in India are good for health, and day by day all world is accepting the food habits of India. That means that all world is accepting food habits which have told in Ayurveda. Next thing you told that some countries have banned Ayurveda is not correct. These countries are allowing only use of herbal medicine. They are not allowing medicines which is said in Ayurveda as Rasa Aushadhi. Rasa Aushadhi means in Ayurveda, it is one of the branch of Ayurveda in which medicines are prepared with the help of metals. These metals are mercury, gold, silver, copper, and modern medicine or modern science thought thinks that these heavy metals are poisonous to body, human. That's why they are saying that we should ban Ayurveda, but they cannot ban Ayurveda. We are practicing Ayurveda for lakhs of years. We are Ayurvedic practitioners in India are using metals in their oxide forms that we say bhasma. And if that bhasma is prepared in the proper way, we have not a single case of heavy metal poisoning in my practice in 21 years. So what these countries are banning for heavy metal poisoning is first thing that are not correct. Their views are not correct. Their science is not have been progressed up to the level of Ayurveda. And on the level of government is trying to convince these countries and nations that these medicines are not harmful to them. Secondly, these countries and nations have gave some another options to Ayurvedic practitioners, Ayurvedic pharmacists, that you should prepare all these medicines in our country. Import of these Ayurvedic medicines is banned. I do not think that they are banning Ayurveda. They are banning our business. If the medicines are prepared in our country and exported to that country, the profit percentage of our country is more. And if we prepare these medicines in their country, their production cost is lower. They are thinking about business, think about in the perspective of business only. This is the now till date condition of these laws of these countries. Okay.
Okay. Nextly, we are extracting the herbs from the forest. So how does extracting the medicines or the Ayurvedic factors are affecting the forestry?
I mentioned two examples in my first, in the beginning of my conversation. Yes. That the same thing is going in the forest, and there is no control on the forest materials. If you travel in the night in the ghats of any area of this forest area, you can see trucks loaded with forest materials are traveling, and that is smuggling. So law should do its work properly, and law should be followed strictly. This is my opinion. Secondly, biodiversity law is useful in that condition that the local people who are living in these forests are collecting these useful parts of that forest, which can be used as medicinal, which have medicinal values. uh, they are doing all those things for years, and for years they are doing this, but the forests are not destroyed at all. By generations all that is going on. How does this happen? This is happened because the collection of these medicinal plants is done with the sustainable method. If they get more profit, and with the for that profit, if they take more and more and more medicinal plant, the forest will be destroyed. These medicinal plants collected by these local people is by all the urban people or pharmacies, and by biodiversity law, the pharmacies should give profit percentage of their business to the local people. So if these peoples are nurtured with this double engine profit, the vanishing forest because of this taking medicinal plants will be stopped. This is the way, or way founded by government. This is also a way, but people should think that what things we does not believe, we should not take these things. This is the main thing. Okay.
Okay. As you had mentioned that you had also awared some farmers to take preventive measures in regards to sustainable development. So how can we as common people make people aware about these things?
The awareness among these people is more dangerous, I think that. again I mentioned the two examples I have told in this conversation in the beginning, that when people get aware about these medicinal plant values, they try to store all these things. This is not the proper way. People should teach with moral values. This is the first thing. This is our dharma. If the people have moral values, then they will not behave like harmful to the any forest. This is the first thing. You should be know the episode that in 15 to 20 years there are many programs like Ran Bhaji Mahotsav, that is wild forest vegetables are consumed by the people living nearby forest. This is the regular practice. In some seasons, some medicinal plant values having the plants which are having some medicinal values, that are consumed like food by local people. All people in urban areas think that the people in rural areas are healthy because of that wild or forest vegetables. So they make events, celebrations of that Ran Bhaji Mahotsav in the name of Ran Bhaji Mahotsav. And the people who are greedy for money, they came to there, and all the wild vegetables are taken to sell there. So we have to stop all these things. This is not the event which should be celebrated. If you are living in urban area, you should eat all those things, which you get from your local market. You should not go to that forest to eat that wild vegetables. In the name of environment safety, we are doing wrong things. This is my opinion.
Okay. And absolutely, it is also harmful if we just randomly go to the farm or forest and we just pluck some vegetable or fruit and we directly consume it. It is absolutely dangerous. So, as we know that our forefathers or ancestors used to put a lamp near the Tulsi Vrindavan and used to worship it. So, what herbal plants or herbal medicines which we can plant at our home, and what can be done at personal or personal housing level?
I think all people here listening are from urban areas. I would suggest some plants which can be planted nearby our houses or in the houses. One plant which is a compulsory plant in every our house, that is a tulsi. And tulsi is important in this pandemic also. So I have got much more families here. I have done a survey that they were not having tulsi plant. So we as a NGO gave them tulsi plants and said them to that you should not buy tulsi from market. You should use the tulsi leaves which are cultivated in your own house. So this uh, way is also a way for a sustainable development. One plant should be there, that is Adulsa, which can be grown nearby our houses. Second is Shatavari, Prajakta, Guduchi, aloe vera. These are the 5 plants I oftenly suggest all the people who can plant these near their houses.
Okay. Yes. So I think with that, we have, that was the last question. So we are towards concluding our session. Also, I would like to add a thing about Tulsi, that during Ganesh festival, when we offer prasad to Ganpati, so in the dish, we offer all the things to it, which is completely a whole dish and all the diet is maintained and balanced in it. Along with that, we also add a leaf of tulsi on the varan bhat which we offer to Ganpati Bappa. So that also shows how important these plants have been, and our ancestors knew it much better than we know it now. So thank you so much, Santosh sir, for adding wise words to our session, and thank you so much for all the knowledge. So I think we had this last question, but if all the viewers are interested to ask anything else or add anything else, we can definitely convey all your messages to Santosh sir. So keep commenting under the comment box and we will definitely convey his answers to you all. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Santosh sir, for sparing your valuable time with us and giving us this amazing session about Ayurveda. We definitely hope that people will be aware through this platform and try something to conserve nature and take a step towards a small step, but at least one step can make a big difference in sustainable development. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you to all the viewers for supporting us. And thank you, Santosh sir. It is all the festival season is here. So I expect you all and appeal to you all to celebrate these festivals eco-friendly and keep supporting our channel and keep watching these webinars every Saturday, 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. So thank you, everyone. Have a good evening. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.